Let's go to Bentonville right now. Asa Hutchinson, the former two-term governor, announcing his Republican candidacy for president.
Please grab it, cheerleaders. Thank you all for joining Susan and me on this special day. This is a day in which our nation's future and my personal story comes together. Susan has been on this journey with me each step of the way, and Arkansas has never had a better First Lady. Bentonville is a big part of my life story, but so is Gravette, where I grew up on a farm and learned the importance of family, faith, and community. I also learned hard work from my dad by cleaning out chicken houses and building fences. And my life story also includes Springdale, where I was inspired by teachers who pushed me to learn. And it was in Springdale that my political awareness began with the nation's divide over the Vietnam War and the struggle for civil rights. But let's come back to Bentonville. I was born in the old Bentonville Hospital. My first law office was across from the square from where we stand today. I tried jury trials in this courthouse behind us. I built Bentonville's first FM radio station. I served as Bentonville's city attorney, but most importantly, this is where Susan and I started our family and spent some of our happiest years living on 15 acres of rocks and hills west of town in a double-wide mobile home. It was here on these steps over 30 years ago that I announced my run for the United States Senate. At that time, Arkansas was a blue state, and the Republican Party was pretty much non-existent. I stepped up to take on runaway federal spending, to fight for a strong national defense, to support the life of unborn children, and to unleash the private sector of our economy. In other words, I ran as a conservative Republican when being a Republican was like having a career-ending handicap. In fact, lawyers told me that. I continued to fight the establishment, and over time, guess what? We won. That was the beginning, and since then, I've been a consistent conservative through my time as leader of the party in the United States Congress and as governor. And now I bring that same vigor to a fight in another battle, and that battle is for the future of our country and the soul of our party. Today, I am announcing that I am a candidate for President of the United States. In this campaign for president, I stand alone in terms of my experience, my record, and leadership. From Congress to the DEA to Homeland Security, I have served our country in times of crisis. As governor of Arkansas, we cut taxes and created record surpluses. We increased pay for teachers. We reduced regulations, we recruited industry, and the private sector grew by over 100,000 jobs. My mettle has been tested. It was tested when I put on a flak jacket and assisted the FBI hostage rescue team in negotiating the surrender of an armed terrorist group. My mettle was tested after the 9/11 attack, when I was responsible for protecting the United States from another act of terrorism on U.S. soil. And my mettle was tested once more as governor, when I demonstrated how we can lead through a pandemic without closing down every business and shutting down our schools. When I had pressure from Washington and the national media to shelter in place, I said no. And the result was that our businesses survived and prospered, and we had more days of in-classroom instruction in our schools during the pandemic than almost any other state. And yes, that's right, we beat Florida and Texas. This campaign is about courage. It is about making the tough decisions to rebuild our economy, to give peace a chance through America's strength, and to renew the American spirit of freedom, opportunity, and the rule of law. And we've got our work cut out for us. Let me offer some solutions today. First, we need to get our economy back on track. The Biden administration has turned its back on the American worker. To turn our economy around, we have to stop the break the bank federal spending that has led to high inflation and rising interest rates. Every hardworking American family gets a double hit from the Biden economy. Their paycheck doesn't go as far, and they're paying more on car loans and credit card debt because of the high interest rates. It hurts them in buying groceries at the store. That is not acceptable. I have been chief executive of our state for 8 years, and that means I know how to balance a budget. I did it every single year. And while I was in Congress, we balanced the federal budget, and it is high time we did it again. And that's just the beginning of what we must do together to bring out the best of America. We must secure our southern border. We need a pro-growth energy policy that is not focused on limits, but on production. We should not limit American growth, but rather we should unleash our energy producers. And if America is to be the best, then we cannot yield to China in terms of global leadership.
You're listening there. That's the former governor of Arkansas, the two-term governor, Asa Hutchinson, joining the Republican presidential field today in his hometown of Bentonville, Arkansas, a traditional conservative, a pro-life, tax-cutting conservative who has a very steep uphill climb now. Donald Trump, by far the formidable Republican frontrunner in the race. Asa Hutchinson, though, promising to challenge Trump. He says the Republican Party needs to fight for its very soul. With me in studio to share their reporting and their insights, CNN's Lauren Fox, Zolan Kano-Youngs of the New York Times, and Jackie Kucinich of the Boston Globe. If you rewound the tape and looked at Asa Hutchinson's resume in the pre-Donald Trump Republican Party, there is a traditional mainstream conservative. He cast himself there as anti-establishment, but he would fit in the traditional Republican mold. The question is, can a man who barely registers in the polls right now, can he get Republican voters? He is the only candidate, now that he's an official candidate, to say Donald Trump should actually drop out because of Donald Trump's legal problems. Right. Can he get the attention of Republican voters? Well,
he is occupying a much slimmed down Never Trump lane. I mean, last time you did see that was a slightly more crowded, and this time it's him and potentially maybe Sununu, who's sort of like Never Trump light. So for that reason, perhaps he'll get a little bit more attention. But you're absolutely right. Despite the fact he has law enforcement, he was a congressman, two-term governor, all of the things that he's done, it's not to a Trump voter who right now hold the keys to the Republican primary, tough sell.
There's also people that oppose Trump but engage in Trumpism, still engage in the culture wars and what have you. Even in that speech there, you can see Governor Hutchinson drawing a contrast there. Recently, he opposed anti-trans legislation that would have been passed in his own state and received backlash for that. I remember the last time I talked to him, it was during the Trump administration, and he was criticizing Trump's refugee restrictions as well, and on that program. There's been multiple ways in which he's contrasted himself from Trump in recent years, and that does set himself a little bit of apart when you look at this competition. Even those that are engaged in sort of tit-for-tat, debates right now with Trump still are engaging in some of the same tactics to appeal to his base. The fact that Hutchinson is not doing that may make it even more challenging for him to appeal to that.